Hey everyone, welcome. Get comfortable, and let's get into tonight's Reddit stories. A grieving teenager at his mom's wake, 2 unsupervised kids, and a morbid little game at the casket that finally makes him explode in front of everyone. Did he cross a line, or was he the only one willing to say something? Am I the asshole for blowing up and cursing out a woman for not controlling her kids at my mom's wake? Edit at the top so it's seen. I see a lot of comments saying she, but I'm actually a guy. Understandable, since I never mentioned it. This happened decades ago. My mom died of cancer when I was just shy of 17. She raised me on her own, so my whole life it was just me and her. Obviously, I was devastated and an absolute wreck. But I digress. Let's skip to my mom's wake. She was laid out in the usual wake setup. Her up front, family lined up along the side so people could come by and offer condolences, and then a seating area in the middle. A lot of that day is just a blur to me. I do remember it being busy at times, because my mom was really loved by coworkers and friends, and she had a lot of different friend groups. During one quiet moment, I was sitting there just thinking about life and how I was supposed to get through it without her, when I noticed these 2 kids, a girl and a boy, probably around 8 or so. They walked up to the casket with their mom, a woman I didn't recognize and had no idea how she knew my mom, but that wasn't unusual. My mom knew a lot of people. They paid their respects and then went to sit down. More people came in after that, and then it slowed down again. I noticed the kids go up to the casket again, this time without their mom. She was off talking to other people. Then the kids went back to her. A bit later, they went up again. Then they did that fast kid walk. You know, where they want to run, but don't want to make it obvious. They went right past the receiving line, whispering, "I touched her. I touched her," and "Me too." That's when I realized what was going on. The kids had turned it into a game. I got up and yelled, "Have some fucking respect! This isn't the place to let your kids run around playing touch the dead fucking body." The whole room went completely silent, and everyone looked from me to the kids to the mom. The kids started crying. Either because someone suddenly yelled in this quiet, somber room, or because they got caught. The woman looked at me like she just sucked on a whole lemon, opened her mouth like she was about to say something, then thought better of it, huffed, and stormed out with her kids. I went out the back door to get some air and have a little time alone to calm down. When I came back in, people were back to talking quietly. But I did notice some quick, sneaky glances in my direction. I've always wondered if they were talking crap about me, if they understood because I was grieving, or if they agreed with me. The few times I've told this story over the years, I've gotten mixed reactions. Some people say wakes are no place for kids at all, especially not kids being allowed to run around unsupervised. Others say I should have just kept my mouth shut and let it go instead of making a scene. It's one of those core memories for me. One I cringe over when it pops into my head during those sleepless nights. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Was I the asshole? Another edit. Well, damn, I did not expect this to blow up like it did. Thanks to everyone who replied. I appreciate all the comments, love, awards, and condolences. It's helped put my mind at ease, and hopefully this will be one less cringy late-night insomnia thought. The top commenters are mostly focused on 2 things. That OP was a devastated 17-year-old who had just lost his mom, and that those kids were only able to act like that because their mother wasn't actually parenting them. One really highly upvoted comment points out that OP was 17, half-orphaned, and watching kids making your mom's body a toy. They say, yeah, kids will be kids, but that's exactly why the parent should have been watching them like a hawk. Maybe OP could have handled it better in theory, but in that state, at that age, you really can't expect a perfectly calm, measured response. Another person agrees that the kids probably didn't really understand what was happening. To them, it was probably just some stranger in a box, and they were bored. That's exactly why it was their mom's job to teach them how to behave in a situation like that. They add that sure, a more tactful approach might have been possible, but OP was grieving and totally blindsided. And honestly, that outburst probably made the reality of death and respect hit those kids harder than any gentle lecture would have. A third top comment goes after the whole "kids will be kids" line directly. Yes, kids will be kids, but that's why parents need to parent. They think the reason the mom looked like she wanted to argue but didn't is because she knew she had no leg to stand on. Letting your kids turn a corpse into part of a game is, in their words, abhorrent behavior from kids who clearly don't fear consequences because their mom isn't paying attention and doesn't enforce boundaries. Overall, commenters are putting the responsibility squarely on the mother for not supervising or correcting her kids in an incredibly sensitive situation, and they're very understanding of OP's emotional reaction, given what he was going through. So, what do you think? Was OP out of line for exploding at this woman during his mom's wake? Or was he the only one willing to call out some seriously disrespectful behavior? Let me know your verdict in the comments. Am I the asshole or not? And how you think you would have handled it in his place. Imagine you're sitting at Christmas dinner, trying to be polite and helpful, and one relative turns the whole night into a running joke at your expense. You ask them to stop, they refuse, and everyone else just laughs along. What do you do when the only way to shut it down might be to just walk out? Am I the asshole for leaving Christmas dinner after my uncle wouldn't stop making jokes about me being unemployed? I'm a guy in my 30s. And I've been out of work for a bit. I'm actively looking, doing interviews, all that. It's not a secret, but I really don't want it to be the main topic every time there's a family gathering. We had a family Christmas dinner this weekend. I went, brought a bottle and a dessert, was polite, helped clear plates, and just tried to get through it. My uncle, he's in his 50s, started in with the usual, "So when are you getting a real job then?" type comments. I did the normal laugh it off thing and said I'm on it, but he kept going all night. Stuff like, "Must be nice having a permanent holiday," and "Maybe Santa can bring you a CV," and "You should try working instead of sitting on that computer." People laughed. Nobody told him to stop. After the fourth or fifth comment, I said calmly, "Can you drop it? I'm here for dinner, not to be roasted." He came back with something like, "Oh, come on, it's just banter, don't be so sensitive." At that point, I just got up and said, "Right, I'm heading off, Merry Christmas, everyone," and left. Now my mom is saying I embarrassed her and I should have just ignored him because that's how he is. And it made things awkward for everyone. I think he can fuck himself. Am I the asshole for leaving instead of sitting there and taking it? The top comments are firmly on the side of the original poster here. One of the highest rated responses calls out the phrase, "That's how he is," as classic enabler language. In their view, it basically means, your feelings don't matter, just let him be rude. They point out that a single joke might be fine, but once someone asks you to stop and you keep going, it stops being banter and becomes disrespect. They also say the mom shouldn't be embarrassed that her child has a spine and refuses to accept ongoing put-downs. Another commenter labels the uncle as the family bully, the kind of person everyone tiptoes around to get along, while letting him take shots at whoever he wants. They think walking out was the right move and applaud OP for not tolerating it. And a third comment zeroes in again on that line, "That's how he is." They argue that this doesn't excuse anything and suggest OP respond with, "Well, not putting up with crap like that is just how I am now." Their stance is that setting boundaries is completely reasonable in this situation. What do you think? Was walking out of Christmas dinner a fair response to the uncle's jokes? Or should OP have stayed and tried to brush it off for the sake of family peace? Let me know your verdict in the comments. And if you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. A roommate, a surprise overnight guest, and one very awkward wrong door in the middle of the night. Now, one person's long-time sleep habit is suddenly a problem for everyone else. Is this a reasonable boundary or a massive overstep? Am I the asshole for sleeping naked in my own room? I'm using a throwaway account because I really don't want my roommate to see this. Since I was a teenager, I've always slept naked. I get too hot at night, and it's just way more comfortable for me to sleep that way. Whenever I leave my room, I'm always dressed. Or at the very least, I've got shorts or something on if I'm going to or from the shower. My roommate knows this, and up until now, he's never had a problem with it. We always knock on each other's doors anyway, just to be polite. The issue started when he brought his girlfriend over to stay for a couple of nights. We all get along pretty well and have hung out a few times before, but this was the first time she'd actually come over and spent the night. We had all gone out drinking and got home pretty late, so once we walked in, we just went straight to sleep. I, of course, went to bed with my usual routine of getting naked and hopping into bed. Sometime during the night, my roommate's girlfriend needed to use the bathroom, but she didn't know which room it was. My room and the bathroom are right next to each other, and she opened my door by mistake. I have a vague memory of her opening my door, but I was half asleep, and when she closed it, I just went right back to sleep. The next morning, I woke up and my roommate and his girlfriend were upset with me, because when she walked in, she saw everything, and she was mad that I would sleep naked when a guest was over in the first place. They both said I need to start wearing clothes to sleep since my roommate's girlfriend is probably going to be sleeping over more often and it makes her uncomfortable. My argument was that I'm in my own private space, away from them, and that while I understand it was a mistake, it's still her fault that she walked in on me sleeping. It's been a few days, and my roommate still won't let it go. I still sleep naked, and now, once, on purpose, he's walked in on me sleeping just to see if I was naked or not. I don't really care about him seeing me naked, because we've seen each other naked before, but this is getting really out of hand. I don't think I should have to wear clothes to sleep just because it makes his girlfriend uncomfortable when I'm in my own private room. Too long didn't read. My roommate's girlfriend walked in on me sleeping naked in my own room, and now they both want me to start wearing clothes to sleep. Edit. To everyone saying I should lock my door or add a lock, I would really like to. Unfortunately, the place we're staying at doesn't want us to change the door handles or anything, so I can't do that. However, I am currently looking into ways to stop my door from opening that don't involve a barricade or drilling into the door or wall. The top comments are firmly on the side of the original poster's right to privacy. One person points out the hypocrisy in the roommate's stance. So, no nudity in your room. Got it. They sarcastically suggest that, by that logic, OP should start randomly walking in on the roommate and his girlfriend to check if they're being decent too. They also question how the girlfriend managed to see so much in what should have been a dark room she knew wasn't hers, and whether she ever apologized for barging in on someone else's private space. Another commenter is much more direct about the roommate's behavior. They say that the roommate deliberately opening OP's door while he was sleeping, just to see if he was naked, crosses a serious line and is low-key sexual harassment. They emphasize that the girlfriend has no right to dictate how OP sleeps in his own bedroom, and that if she's going to be there more often, that's something that needs a real discussion and consent from everyone, not a unilateral announcement. In their view, OP isn't being indecent at all. A third commenter flips the situation around. How often are the roommate and girlfriend naked behind their own closed door? And would they be okay with OP doing a surprise late-night check on them? They argue that if they wouldn't tolerate that, they shouldn't be doing it to OP either. So that's the situation. A long-time naked sleeper, a confused guest in the middle of the night, and a roommate who's now doing checks on OP's bedroom. What do you think? Should OP change their sleep habits for the roommate's girlfriend? Or are the roommate and girlfriend completely out of line here? Let me know your verdict in the comments, and if you've ever had a roommate boundary blow up like this, share your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want more Am I the Asshole stories. Imagine planning a special surprise just for your kid, and then a family member hints that you should include their child too. Do you change your plans to avoid hurt feelings, or keep it as the one-on-one moment you originally wanted? Am I the asshole for not buying my niece a concert ticket for Christmas? Hi, I need a quick judgment on this because there are still tickets available on the website. So on top of our regular presents, we got our daughter a ticket to a concert that's happening on the 30th. I'm going too, mostly because I have to take her, but also because I like the band and I want to go with her. I just thought it would be a really nice experience for the two of us. Today, my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, called and asked what we were doing on New Year's Eve. We're already having a family Christmas dinner anyway. I told her I wasn't sure, that I'd probably be really tired from the drive back, since the concert is on the 30th and we're staying overnight before driving home. And I mentioned that we'd gotten our daughter a surprise concert ticket. She sounded a bit disappointed and said her daughter would have loved to go too. She asked if tickets were still available. I said I didn't know, and she repeated again that her daughter would have loved to go. I hate saying this, and I don't want it taken the wrong way, but my husband has his business. I'm a working professional too, and our daughter is an only child, so I understand that our spending situation is different. Anyway, we hung up and I felt awful afterward. I checked, and there are still tickets available. But if I buy my niece a ticket, wrap up the confirmation like I'm doing for my daughter, and give it to her to open at the family dinner, then my husband's brother's daughter would be the one left out. So, am I the asshole for not buying my niece a concert ticket? Edit. Just to clarify, what I meant was, if I get my niece the ticket, I'd have to give it to her at the dinner in front of my other niece. The gifts we're getting our daughter will be opened by her on Christmas morning. Edit. I thought about it more after reading the comments, and I'm not going to do it. It just wouldn't be the kind of experience I wanted us to have if I did. And I really do adore my nieces, and it's not even really about the cost. I just want this to be something that's just me and my daughter. Thank you for the help. The top commenters are very clear that they don't think the original poster is doing anything wrong by keeping this concert as a gift and experience just for her own daughter. One highly upvoted comment says this is simply a present for her child, and if the sister-in-law's daughter would have loved to go, that's something her own mother could have planned or saved up for. The commenter emphasizes that it's not OP's responsibility to pay for other people's kids' experiences. Another person calls it crazy for the sister-in-law to expect OP to suddenly buy a concert ticket for her niece out of nowhere just because she mentioned the surprise. A third top comment suggests a middle ground. OP can tell her sister-in-law that if she decides to buy tickets for herself and her daughter, OP would be happy to meet up at the concert. That way, no one is excluded. But OP isn't taking on the financial or emotional burden of changing what was meant to be a special one-on-one outing with her own child. What do you think? Is it unfair to keep this concert as a mom and daughter experience? Or should OP have tried to include her niece once she knew the girl would love to go? Let me know your thoughts and your verdict in the comments below. And if you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the next one. Imagine you're about to move out of state. You've got a fully paid-off condo you love, and then your best friend suddenly wants her college-age stepson to condo sit while you're gone. You say no, and she just will not drop it. How far would you go to protect your home and your friendship? Am I the asshole for not letting my best friend take advantage of me? This is a throwaway account. My best friend, Diane, and I have known each other since elementary school. Diane is dating Roy, and he has 2 teenagers who stay with him half the time. I'll just refer to them as Diane's stepkids. Now onto the issue. I'm getting married in 6 months. My fiancé lives in another state, and I'll be moving there to live with him. I own a condo, it's fully paid off, and I'm keeping it so I have a place to stay when I come back for work meetings and to visit family. My fiancé also has family here, so I figure we'll be back about every other month, give or take. Diane agreed to hold an emergency key in case maintenance ever needs to access my condo. I thought I had everything settled, until 2 weeks ago. Diane and I met for lunch, and she said she had a proposal for me. Her stepson goes to college near my condo. She said it would be great if her stepson condo sat for me. That way, I wouldn't have to worry about the place when I'm not there. He would pay me a small amount each month to cover any wear and tear. He'd stay with his father whenever I'm in town. She said it would be a win-win since I'd be making a little income on an apartment that would otherwise be empty. In a split second, I imagined all the liabilities I'd be taking on by having a very social college kid living unsupervised in my home. I pictured coming home and having to clean up after him, neighbors complaining, and my poor bed. No. Honestly, the idea of anyone living in my home when I'm not there is just unappealing. So I thanked my friend for the idea and told her I just didn't want anyone living in my condo. I wanted to be able to come and go as I pleased without worrying about it. She kept pushing it, telling me why it was such a great idea, and I kept telling her no and explaining my reasons. Finally, she said that on the basis of our friendship, would I at least think about it overnight? I told her she was basically asking me to take on a tenant and all the financial and legal responsibilities that come with that. So if she truly believed this was a good idea, she and her boyfriend would have to sign a contract making them financially responsible for any and all liabilities. She asked why she had to be on the contract. I said I was only asking of her what she was asking of me. She got quiet. I told her to think about it and get back to me. Roy later called me and said he would be willing to sign the contract. I said Diane would have to sign it too, since she's the only reason I'm even considering this. I then explained to him why I wanted to keep the apartment empty. He told me Diane came to him with the idea and said she would talk to me about it. He wouldn't have bothered with it if he'd known the full story. It was a pleasant conversation. The next day, Diane called and said I embarrassed her in front of her boyfriend. I told her that if she had just respected that I was not interested in her proposal, we wouldn't have had this problem. Am I the asshole in how I handled this? Edit. Just to be clear, I haven't given her the key yet. I was going to give it to her closer to when I moved. I do not plan on giving her the key anymore. The top commenters are very clear that they think the original poster did nothing wrong here, and they're especially focused on the safety and control of the condo. One of the highest rated responses says that OP is absolutely not in the wrong, and even goes as far as to suggest changing the locks. Their concern is that Diane might still try to give the stepson access behind OP's back, with the excuse of, once you see how great it is, you'll change your mind. Another popular comment agrees that OP isn't at fault and adds that, after all this pressure and drama, they wouldn't feel comfortable with Diane having an emergency key at all. The trust has already been shaken. A third commenter points out that OP's reasoning is completely understandable. She may trust Diane, but Diane isn't the one who'd be living there. It would be a young college guy OP doesn't really know, and that's a big risk. If Diane and Roy aren't willing to sign something that protects OP's hard-earned property, then expecting OP to just hand over her home on faith and trust is unreasonable. That commenter says they wouldn't rent to a college tenant under those conditions either. What do you think? Is OP right to keep her condo completely off limits, even to her best friend's family? Or is she being too cautious and risking the friendship over it? Let me know your verdict in the comments. Who's the real asshole here, if anyone?